scan, a siege tank.
There's about all the defense that you could want here. There's a turret at the front with the tank in perfect position. Byun sniffed it out. He's like, yeah, I know. It's not like he saw it with the scan either. He just knew because he knows the player that he's playing against.
You know what I think SOS almost has to do now is just take a really crazy risky third. Because Byun is like so careful.
Maybe.
Yeah. You know, Byun is so careful right now that there's no way he's going to break him at the front. But what you can do when someone is playing this safe is abuse that and take a third. And that's exactly what he's going to do here. That probe is in position. He's going to take a third base. He knows Byun is, he's in the turtle shell. You know, he's retracted back. That's when you're safest.
Maybe a lesser Protoss would have been like, okay, I got to all in here. You know, I'm too far behind. I can do a nice timing with Blink and Resonating Glaives, you know, make a couple extra gateways. SOS is not that player. Great micro there, by the way, by Byun. Going to save that Cyclone.
He's like, Warp Prisms are good against Cyclones, but Dropships are good to save them too. Very important unit, by the way, and you don't normally have a tech lab on your factory, so important to keep that alive. You can't remake that. This Liberator is looking to do some serious damage. 2 pylons in position, so Byun is not even going to try.
It's almost like he wants to force it. He's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
This is
Found this little angle.
Yeah, the one angle until that finishes that you can hit this with. Not massive damage, but still frustrating for SOS to deal with.
Yeah,
I love
this. So annoying.
I love this third base he's taken. And for a moment, it looked like Byun was going to move out. And I said, you know, this is risky to take this third like this, but Byun still doesn't punish.
Ooh. Liberator lives. One more hit.
16 hit points left on that. You know, keeping SOS's focus elsewhere. Looks like we're going to see a big Adept warp in. Byun is finally taking that move out across the map with this scan. He sees the size of the army is small, but the Sentry is going to make this push very difficult. He's going to have to come from a different angle, or he's going to have some serious trouble. 2 tanks here and a Cyclone, but that's still going to get some SCV damage no matter what.
For sure. Oh, but he's not targeting the SCVs. Goes on top of those tanks. And look at this. The tank's in a great position, actually, to try to deny that. Look at the repair, though, onto those tanks, keeping this alive.
Very difficult to target individual SCVs like this while you're also holding pressure in the middle of the map. Is he going to commit to this? The tanks are kind of stacked up here. I was going to say that's a bit crazy if he commits to that. Just kind of using the shades one by one now for scouts. Going to commit to the Mothership core.
Oh, actually was the Archon there.
Yeah, going for the Archon instead there. Blink forward right now into the tank range. This is not going to be a good fight for SOS here, although Adepts come forward. The siege tanks need to get good hits.
GG. He just gets out of there. And there you go. Byun taking a very early and easy 2-0 victory over SOS.
I'm a little bit almost shocked by the GG time in the first game. I almost felt like it was frustration. The second one there, definitely could have tried to come back with drops and hold that off a little bit longer, but
he was a whole base ahead of Byun.
Yeah, almost a defeatist sort of GG there. That's kind of strange.
I didn't really like the look on SOS's face after game number 1. Just a look of, you know, I don't know.
He's pissed, you know?
He's pissed. That's the right way to say it. It's when something like that happens to you in game number 1, I'd be pissed too. It's like I was so far ahead in this game, and I just missed the one drop, and that killed me. I was supposed to win that game. What the hell? And then all of a sudden you go into game 2, maybe he couldn't, you know, clear his mind. And even though, you know, it was kind of even, he was definitely in a bad spot in that game for sure. But maybe a little bit of an early GG.
Sure. I mean, the game was, if he loses that base and loses that army, almost certainly over. And he couldn't take the fight there. But it was just a bit strange how it works out. This is not normal that you GG in the middle of a fight even. It's almost like tradition that you wait until like your units die and then
everything
you type
dies
out.
And then you're like, oh, I realize now that I lost.
I mean, even if you know you're losing the fight, you usually don't type out in the middle of it. That's kind of a strange
But your
thing.
opponent could still mess up his micro, you know. Maybe you move commands his Marines in, and then you kill all that, and the tanks are there, and you've sniped some of the medevacs with your blink, and even though your army is dead, he can't push you, and then the game goes on, but you're up a base. So
yeah, I feel like Byun knew exactly what SOS was going to do. He countered it. He played against his style. He prepared well.
Oh, yeah.
And SOS, I think, didn't take him as seriously, perhaps, as Classic did in the SSL group.
Yeah, perhaps. Guys, we're going to take a quick break before we go on to the next match.
있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성사이다.
여름 휴가. Every day. 유기요.
대결의 룰을 아십니까? 승리한 자는 패배한 자의 트로피를 뺏습니다. 그리고 그의 자존심까지도. 클래시 로얄.
인형이 너의 슬픔을 씻어줄 것이다. RPG의 검은 획을 긋다. 크라이.
내 뒤에서 먼지나 먹으시지.
기분 째지는데?
질서와 수호를 위해서라면
마귀의 화염이
누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지.
나는 KT 기가 인터넷. 당신과 끊김없이 게임을 즐기죠. 어디서나 우린 함께해요. 어때요? 나랑 콜라보 하실래요? 당신의 KT.
친구끼린 역시 배달통. 배달의 힘 배달통.
중요한 것은 언제나 안개에 쌓여 있다. 그저 나아갈 뿐.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 소울 바인더.
오호, 물로 지금 거의 뭐 수분을 그냥 갖다 들이붓는 것 같아요. 자, 바른 쪽과 안 바른 쪽입니다. 차이 보여드릴게요. 내가 발라봤는데 대표는 앞으로 그냥 나도 찍어 발라야 될 것 같아요. 잘 봐요. 자, 이렇게 깔끔하게 아래쪽만 다듬어도 선이 딱 살아있잖아요. 선 라인 자체가. 잠깐만. 이런 느낌이구나. 허허. 오늘 여러 가지 제품들 올리브영에서 제가 지금 제품을 받아서 사용을 해봤는데 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 올리브영 제품이 짱인 것 같습니다.
기가 IoT 헬스. 올레 TV 켜고 퍼팅하고 바이크 타고 체지방 체크까지 실감나게 재밌다. 기가 IoT 헬스. 김지원의 KT.
How you star? Every day. 여기요.
네, 아프리카TV와 함께하는 킹덤 스토리 연애의 신.
이거 사극을 찍는 것 같아요.
정말 안 어울립니다. 약간 왜소하고.
맞아요. 위초고 3국 대결.
장비! 나이스! 나이스!
나 심쿵했어.
17,800원. 군주는 무릎을 꿇을 수 있어요. 아, 뭐야, 이거 어떻게 먹은 건데? 저에게는 간호 장비 같은 존재입니다. 진짜 유익한 게임이니까 여러분들 진짜로 많이 해보셨으면 좋겠습니다.
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링. 리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로 과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링.
스타일? 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다.
Stylish sparkling water. 롯데 트레비.
메신저 혁신. 이런 실시간 라이브 움짤 기능은 지금 스노우앱에서밖에 없죠. 굉장히 많은 팬분들이 영상 메시지와 메신저를 보내주고 계십니다. 아프리카 원탑 역캠답게 이설이라고 메시지가 왔는데 길 가다 만나지 마라. 길 가다 만나지 마라고. 느낌 있죠? 리본 하나 찬 다음에 딸랑딸랑 고양이. 섹시합니다. 외쳐 스노우! 라마?
미소가 생기다.
화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다. pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0. 이제 모두 핑크하세요.
We are back and ready to get into the winner's match here. Here are our results so far. Dark taking out Kier 2-0 and Beyond taking a quick 2-0 over SOS.
Really just, and he showed up with the answers to the problems SOS presented him, man. He had the cheat book ready to defeat him in that best of 3. And in game 1, I mean, he shut down the first push, he got behind, he found the answer, he abused the fact that SOS had those units up at the front and went into the back. And now we're going to see Dark versus Beyond here. And I wanted to see Dark's ZVP, but it might not happen here if he just dismantles Beyond
And you
the
know
way he's
what?
Cure.
Yeah, I mean, Dark wrecked TY today. It was not close. The one game that he lost, it was kind of just off of Dark's mistakes. Now he takes out Cure 2-0, makes it look super easy. And now he's going up against Beyond, the guy who has the least amount of results recently, the guy who, you know, definitely is the underdog in the group as well, does really well so far. And he's got a lot of momentum behind him, but he may just hit a brick wall here in the form of Dark.
And we'll see if that happens, man. Another cool story in this group could be if the SOS rematch happens versus Beyond, if he tries to play straight up instead of being sneaky. Something that we could perhaps look forward to later on if Beyond doesn't take this. Now, I gotta be real with you guys. This is definitely a Dark favored matchup. He prepared for a ZVT in SSL, prepared for a ZVT for the previous match, and crushed Cure. And now he's like, huh, yeah, is this a face he just put there? He's like, yeah, Tether Terran, okay, let's go.
Dark already had a lot of confidence, and when you put this many things in his favor, he's only going to be that much more cocky and confident. Guys, let's see if Beyond can overtake Dark as we go into game number 1 on Dusk Towers. Down here in the bottom left, in the blue, the Zerg player he is.
SK Telecom T1, Dark.
The opposite of a dark horse in this group.
Yes, very true.
He should just change his name to White.
He's playing on his favorite map, Dusk Towers.
His opponent, teamless.
Beyond.
That was not very good
intro. Short and simple.
Well, make his opponent wearing
teamless.
a white shirt.
He's got some nice, I'm not sure exactly what you would call those things, attached to his shirt, make it look like a flight jacket.
I think those are called, oh God. They're called like lapels, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's one of those weird
We'll go with
French
that
words.
for now until someone tweets at us saying, no, you idiots, it's this, obviously.
I just really wish that I could know all these French things that are in our language. I mean, you and I drink expensive Evian water every day with our esports money.
Yeah, of course. That happens every day.
Because I like these French things that are a part of what we do. Nothing is as a part of French and a part of my life is O Gaming. By the way, shout outs to those guys and Funka.
Oh, yeah.
The Master Observer, and now Caster. And pretty sure Todd did eat his last baguette, but we'll never know for sure.
We'll never know. We'll wait and see, perhaps. That sign actually just said that Dark takes out Innovation, TY, Cure, and now he is going to take out Beyond. And I don't know. We'll see.
The prophecy could come true.
This is a best of 3, right? It's not a super long series. We saw Ryung the other day against Zest. He threw in a crazy cheese and it worked. Beyond doesn't strike me as the kind of player to do that, unfortunately, you know. But I mean, we'll wait and see how he wants to take down this Titan of a Zerg.
Well, Beyond has his own way of doing things. And he actually kind of changed the meta, like you said, with that 2-drop play that Cure was using. He was doing that a lot. In the first season of SSL even, he beat Sue in the opening match, which confused and shocked a lot of people. And then it shocked and upset so many people we made the tournament double elimination. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because Bjorn is now going 2 racks, so he's going to have a fast tech lab here as well.
He's doing the same build, actually.
We'll see if he actually has a variation on it this time with that quick tech lab. I wonder, this could even be fast Banshees. Nope, going to be stem. So really quick stem compared to the 545 stem we saw from Cure's 3cc build. And the starport should be coming down here any second. And he will be going for that that drop you were describing. Actually waiting on that a little bit. Doesn't have 100 gas yet. But yeah, I mean, this is a quick stem, very pressure-oriented build. I think the idea here is players like Dark, Rogue, the few remaining Zergs we have, even Lenok oftentimes, are relying on Queens and wants to have fast stim. You know, with no Banelings, Marines can do a lot for you, especially early when the Queen count is not large enough to fight this yet. So we'll see what he can do with it.
It's going to be interesting on this map because if you compare it to when Kira did it on Frost, that was that map that he did it. He was like kind of fighting on creep. The creep had been pushed out quite a ways. I think it's slightly closer, horizontal spawns compared to Dusk Towers, just normal spawns. I don't know the exact distance there, but
yeah,
you know, if he gets a good drop at the 3rd, there's not going to be all that much creep over there. Maybe you can get behind the mineral line as well, something that's much harder to do on Frost.
Yeah.
But that Overlord scout was huge because he sees this many Marines this early, and I think he already knows what's coming.
Well, what the Korean caster highlighting on the other side of things is this early Roach Swarm here that Bjorn may have seen if he clicked on it. I didn't see the click window. In our observer mode might not even be showing that right now, but we don't know if he saw it for sure. But the Roaches can definitely put a little bit of a kink in the plan here, as they're going to be very beefy units that can help defend against Marines. However, the problem with Roaches versus Stem Marines is the Marines do damage so quickly. Roaches do damage slowly and not quick enough sometimes to out-damage the healing of the medevacs. So it's tough. With only 2 medevacs, it's a little bit easier. It becomes a problem later on. So let's see how well Dark defends us. He's using Ravagers, in fact. That has even less DPS, with the exception of the Biles, which Bjorn should easily split against. I'm a bit worried for Dark, actually, at the beginning of this game.
He doesn't have that many Queens, after all, because of the build that he chose. He's going to rely on only this. And this is a lot of Marines coming in here with Stem.
Looks like he has just enough with the Roaches there that just popped out. He's going for a follow-up drop, though, with the Widowmine. And again, if Dark continues down this Roach path, the more bio that Bjorn has, the more medevacs he gets. This becomes an inefficient composition, you know, unless you get lucky Biles, which is just, I mean, not something you want to expect or rely on.
Dark does like to play this style on this map because getting 3 bases and holding it is very easy. What he likes to do is go 3 bases and maybe get a 4th, but he's not, you know, ultra committed to keeping it safe. What he really wants to do is fast tech to ultras. We do see him going for the upgrades here first and Roach speed with more Roaches.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was, I was like, well, are these Roaches just purely defensive? When I saw the Evolution Chambers, I was thinking so, but
generally they are.
He just commits to it. He gets the +1 range. He's getting Roach speed, as you mentioned. He needs to, this is a comp that loses value over time, so we'll see how this works. Now we have 3 medevacs with this push, so the healing output is a lot higher.
Look at this. This is just so many Marines just walking on in, doing a lot of damage, trading well, and then backing off.
Yeah, he can just heal up, come back with more medevacs, +1/+1, combat shields, all of these things finishing up while his 3rd is made on the low ground. He may bring siege tanks with this. I like that he's adding those in. But this really just becomes a numbers game when it comes to the medevacs versus the Roaches. So the Queens here, if they get a kill on a medevac or 2, that's huge. And then, you know, this is a strong comp. I'm not trying to say it's like not good or it doesn't work, but you know, when we get to the 4th base for Bjorn and he's got a maxed out army, he can't be using that anymore because it won't work at that point.
He's got that transition on the way. The Infestation pick coming up here, almost done, in fact. Even going for Burrow. I don't think he's going to go for any kind of Burrow movement shenanigans. We haven't seen that in quite a while against Tarion. But maybe just a Burrow.
Well, as soon as you say it, man, there it is.
Wow, okay. Especially on a map like this, very hard to make work because you could just get 1 missile turret at the front of your 3rd and you see everything, right? So yeah. It's good for counterattacking. We saw him doing a lot of that against Cure, so maybe he wants to bring it to the next level. Get Roaches in there. He already made a lot, wants to get a lot of value out of them.
The Infestor value synergy with Burrow here is good too. You can actually catch the army with Fungals, then use Biles on top of that. The Infestors can also harass and use that burrow to kind of traverse the map. So, again, Dark played something totally different earlier, and now he's showing his versatility and how much he knows and understands about this game and shows us things we don't see very often. This Spore Crawler here going to make these drops, especially with that second one there on a Queen, tough to execute. Looks like he's going to go for it here. He may just simply have to straight up turn around with those medevacs.
That is what he does. Yeah, and is he going to be able to defend here?
I don't think so. And you know what? He has to make a choice if he's going to cancel or not. Right now, he does.
That last second cancel, though, feels so bad. What a great timing there by Bjorn to draw the units back to try to, you know, deal with that drop. That wasn't even the intention of Bjorn. He just wanted to move the units away so that he could walk into the fourth base and deny that.
Here comes the burrow movement push. We actually saw a lot of this in Katowice.
Well,
I think it was Firecake doing this, and Polt shut it down really hard. There's the turret you're talking about. The turret's on the wrong side of the depots, but you could just see he's prepared for this eventuality. And we'll see if, you know, Dark can make this transition work. He's already going into the melee upgrades, the Baneling speed. But during this period of time, while he's trying to switch into melee-based tech, he's vulnerable, and he will be behind in upgrades, and Bjorn will have a powerful army. He needs to use these burrow movement roaches to buy time for that moment.
Yeah, Bjorn knows the timing of this as well. The second he sees Dark stay that long on 3 bases, all those roaches, just everything that he's seen has told him the same story that he's watched in so many of the VODs that he's studied of Dark's play, and he's like, okay, I need to hit this timing. Here we go. This is a very strong timing. I think he should be able to at least shut down the fourth base. We'll have to wait and see how
man,
Dark
the
deals with this.
Infestor Oh, it's so sick! Oh my god! Double Fungal doesn't even need the chain there. That is the definition of a sick Fungal right there.
Yes, it is, and a sick hold for now.
We were watching that, and I was like, well, I mean, this could work, but I don't even want to mention it. Okay, this is probably not going to happen. It's the dream. But it occurred there.
Oh, boy.
The push continues, though. He needs more Fungals to slow this down. He's got 3 Ultras on the way, but they're not ready yet. Baneling speed finishes in 8 seconds. So close here. Good setup on the tanks from behind. The Marines are split, but this is a lot of Zerg. There's the Fungal.
Yeah, really good Fungal there. The best he could have gotten, but is it going to be enough? A small drop into the main shouldn't be enough to pull Bjorn back, and he's doing a nice bit of damage still here at the fourth.
Yeah, if he micros that tank really well, this could do a lot. This Liberator will get killed by this repositioned Spore, but 14 kills on that in total already. Once Bjorn holds this drop-off, he's going to have so much more. Dark may just simply roll over and die here to this bio. He didn't have his Ultras ready in time. The Fungals weren't enough. This is the vulnerable timing I'm talking about. Bjorn hits it perfectly right before those Ultras are ready. And this harassment is nice, but it's not enough.
Yeah. Perfect timing on the push here, as you were saying. And now that there are Ultras out, this could look a little bit like the game against Cure, but the maps are very different. It's going to be a lot harder to retake the fourth base. Dropping the tanks on top of Ultras.
Those
and
tank drops were definitely not intentional, I don't think, from Bjorn. But he pushes forward here. Does not have enough to end the game right now. He needs to be careful. If he gets fungled again, his whole army will disappear, man. The Ultras is the real magic eraser, okay? Now, I mean, he survives. He has Ultras. We talked about this in the Cure game. It's like, okay, Cure is ahead in supply, maybe. Dark dies, but he has Ultras. He has Transfuses. What he doesn't have in this game was the Immaculate Creep Spread. He does not have, you know, the short rust distance that allowed him to counterattack. Nice block here. The counterattack potential we saw on Frost, where he was running, you know, 4 or 5 times Banelings into the back of that third base. He doesn't have these opportunities on this map. It's a different map, as you said, and let's see if he can make this work. He has the Dream comp of the Ultras. Okay, he's got those out. He even has Infestors paired with them, which is something that's usually too expensive and risky to even do, but he already has the tech. He saved these Infestors. This, you know, he's got this comp that's so hard to fight against, but Bjorn is going to have the better economy here, taking this fourth.
Yeah, we saw a lot of games of Dark versus TY yesterday where it went to very, very late game TVZ, and we saw that TY was going for the ghost play as well as Bjorn, but TY was generally fighting from behind, and he never really got that much damage done to Dark like Bjorn has in this game. So I feel like Beyond's going to be in a much better spot here. They're going to be 4 bases to 4 essentially for a bit here before that 5th of Dark gets up and running. And there's really not much that Dark can do. He can't move across the map and attack that. It's too defensively positioned over there.
The Spire that you see on the production tab really tells the story of where this game is going. Wrecked.
Goodbye.
Infestor is just so high utility. Only very few players can ever really use them in this matchup, but you can see when you get them out how much they can do for you. Vipers, again, we talked about them in the previous series, something that we can see in this late game. With Aspire means we might see even Brew Lords going in this game. This game is going to go late. It's tougher with these compositions, both players to kill each other, especially on this map. One of the biggest rush distances in the game, and so much open space as well. Now the Ghosts here have multiple purposes. They can not only snipe the Ultras for big, massive, one-shot damage, but also can EMP not only the Infestors, but also the Vipers. So those are going to be some priority targets. And yeah, I know it's weird to think about EMP in this matchup, but you can hit, let's think about this, okay, theorycraft for a second. If the Queens are bunched up, dropping transfuses, if you hit all the Queens with EMPs, they can't transfuse anymore. I mean, there's multiple uses for the Ghost in this situation, and it's great that he's making quite a few of them. He's even killing Marauders and Marines off to make his army maxed with more Ghosts and more Liberators.
Yeah, very smart. You need to get the biggest, or the best, rather, composition on 200 supply as possible. Here we go. He's going to begin pushing at this 5th. Going to deny some mining.
Yeah, small victories like this. Oh, no! That's a huge victory. That's better than EMPs, Valdez. Just straight up killing them while they're not paying attention.
3 Infestors going down there. And, well, he's got nice defense there at least, but he is going to lose his 5th for free.
3-3 is nearly done, by the way. The +3 only started now for the Ultras. That's one of the other weaknesses of transitioning into Ultras from ranged upgrades on Roaches, for example, is you're kind of one cycle behind. Looks like that Sport Crawler got its lucky shot there and finished that medevac off. But we've got a lot of Ghosts back here. This is going to be a tough fight for Dark to take, and the spreads are real. Here come the Ultras. And look at this, he's even going to start putting planetaries at the front. This is going to be one of those games that gets really long. Might even see more Ghost Academies for nukes. Absolutely possible with the economy he has.
For sure. I feel like Beyond's push is very strong, but he almost, I don't know, maybe he feels like he's done enough damage. He takes out the 5th, and now he wants to swing around to the top base. Just keep kind of the Zerg on even bases for now. That's kind of the objective here for Beyond. That's what it looks like. Going to set up a nice defensive position here. There's no way for Dark to hold this base. He's just not ready for it.
He knows it too. He's not even going to let it. He's just going to let it go. He's simply giving it up. Now again, this is what we talked about earlier on Frost. Oh, look at those sick EMPs going off here. Now on Frost, it's losing those Infestors again. On Frost, it's easier to run by than it is on this map. These Ultras take a long time to get across the map, but they have arrived. There are Ghosts here though. Look at the snipes coming down, taking them out very quickly here. And oh man, let's see how well he splits here. The parasitic bombs go off. The ground army is really the issue. And even though he kills these Liberators, the ground army is so powerful still. You see the zoom out here, the split of Marauders. Liberator's still alive at the back. He will hold this off. And Björn is remaxing as quickly as he can, but he's in some serious issues here. The fight went well for him at the beginning of things, but he lost so much there in the end. He didn't retreat.
Yeah, he really did. He lost his entire army. He wasn't able to kill this hatchery. Nice little drop over here to snipe the macro hatch, but now Beyond really just has to get back. At least he's got a nice defensive position still, even with the command center in the middle of the map. Might delay Dark for just a bit.
I was talking about how good Beyond's positioning was, economic-wise, once he had a 4th, because that's really the ideal number for Terran. But when we go into a game like this, he needs a 5th, and the fact that he didn't have one until just now means he doesn't have a big economy, or rather a big bank, built up. His army that he's replacing is easier to replace than the Zerg army, but he wasn't set up to do so. So you could see him remaxing is taking a lot longer than the remax we saw here from Dark. And Dark struggled to hold on to a 5th base, but he got it up. Now he's got a 6th coming up. And he has a scary composition. The parasitic bombs there were really good, and Beyond split against them. And you can't split while you're in liberation mode because obviously you can't move.
Yeah.
But even his units are pretty spread, but it killed enough of his stuff that even though I was talking about how great the ground army was, it was not enough, to put it simply.
Yeah, for sure. Now both these players really just in rebuild mode. You can see both of them trying to remax here and take some extra bases. Dark trying to take all the bases that he lost earlier on. We are going to have Cloak for Ghost coming in here, going to make them a little bit harder for Dark to deal with. You can see he did go for the double Spire as well. Can get double upgrades if he wants, and also upgrade while he morphs that into a greater Spire.
Yep, this medevac will get taken out here. Not a whole lot of damage done there. That was just my beautiful play-by-play at that moment. Let's see what this gets done, because the scary thing about this army is it's very small, and if he loses it, he will die to a counterattack. The game will end. So he needs to be very tactical on how he uses this. And because there are not a lot of corruptors that I think this is pretty safe, because no matter what happens, you can just pick up and leave. As I say that, you know, he's got a few over here. This is still kind of risky.
You know, I feel like Dark is almost underestimating his point, his position in
this
his
advantage.
You know, he's like, oh, I lost way too many bases. I won the fight, but he's probably got a 5th base. He probably has a massive army back at home. I just need to defend and get my bases back, get my Broodlords out slowly. But Dark's army, he definitely could have challenged that army there at least. You know, would have been an awkward spot, but he could have, you know, he could be trying to poke as well, make Bjorn more on the defensive, but he's not really doing much of that. He's just trying to rebuild at home.
I feel like there's definitely like a lot of truth to what you're saying. I think you're kind of spot on there. I also feel he wants to take a fight that's really on his terms. That's why he's waiting for the Nidus before engaging. He wants to fight close to the Terran's base without having to walk all the way across the map where he's going to get kited for days by this Bioforce. So he's just removing the kiting option here of the long off-creep haul across Dust Towers. He's just simply going to take the Nidus to the bottom right. That allows him to attack multiple locations at once. He doesn't want to risk taking a fight in the middle of the map off-creep. He only wants to fight again on his terms. This gets spotted. It will get shut down, but this is still, I mean, until he kills the main Nidus network, he can actually keep using this. He can use it in the main. He can use it to reinforce a push. It's a great tech choice here in this Supreme late game. Now we nearly reached 20 minutes.
Look at how many units he committed to here. He's going to force the lift. And even though there are some ghosts over here, there's not much else besides the planetary. Is that going to be enough to hold this all off? He could roll those Banelings in too.
He rolls them in, and even with personnel cloaking here, the Banelings will kill the ghosts if they get on top of them. He barely gets
Building
that planetary.
armor 9 seconds away from finishing would have helped out in that defense, but
definitely so. Now, he saves his base too. I thought that was going to go down for sure. The Broodlord tech here is also somewhat countered by the Ghosts. This is going to be a slow, long slog, guys. If you think this game is ending soon, barring a huge mistake from either player, it's not. Bjorn is finally stabilized to where he can have this base. He's moving this back over here. He has this base up, even is trying to take the 3 o'clock down there, it looks like. He can build a bank, and then we might start seeing those nukes I was talking about once he gets to that point.
I mean, he's already set up a small, you know, fortress there in the middle of the map, the planetaries and the missile turrets here. He needs to lift that base, make sure he doesn't lose it. The scan also to see what exactly is the composition and notice how many Broodlords there are and immediately switch into Viking production is very important as well.
Yes.
Because you need to have that kind of counter.
Yeah,
you can't just rely only on the Ghost for everything.
Exactly.
Here.
Ghosts are not alone enough. Dealing with that Nidus, I think, would definitely behoove him. Just looking at the mini-map a little bit closer, I don't think he actually has killed that yet, but he's just kind of like bleeding units off to deal with it.
There he
finally commits to it here and is going to kill the Overlord. That's important because he needs vision to make that Nidus. He's going to send another Overlord over if he wants to remake this, so that'll buy him some time. And
he's got one Overlord near the natural, and there you go. He's going to put it into the back door.
There you go. You called it, man, right before it happened. He's just always looking to have constant pressure on. Bjorn sees this. He's going to send Ghosts back. Part of the reason why is because with their cloaking, it's going to be very difficult to commit or to actually make this work big time here. Another Nidus being granted here. It's also spotted by a Marine. He's going to come back with these dropships. It's just a small Ling Nidus. It's not a huge commitment.
He immediately goes back in. The second there's a response. I think he's just trying to draw units into the main and then go into Nidus base over here that's actually mining.
Yeah, because the Nidus allows infinite movement. Units can come in and out of it from any of these, Nidus points. The worms, I guess, is what they're actually called. So it's basically warp travel. And these Lings can be in 2 locations faster than Bjorn's army can. The only thing that's comparable to that the Terran has, which we never see, is the tactical jump for the battlecruisers.
Yeah, I was going to say, who needs battlecruisers when you got Nidus networks?
Exactly.
Different races, but
23 Ghosts are on the map here. And I was wondering when we were going to start to see more games like this on Dust Towers. I love it. This is like a New Gettysburg-esque, long, crazy, who knows what could happen game.
This is what was happening yesterday, man. Dark just loves to play these long macro games. So confident.
Yeah, I'm actually so sad I haven't been able to catch those VODs yet because it would have been so relevant for me to have seen that before this happened. Lots of esports going on and all sorts of different titles right now. But for me, this is exciting because I get to experience this the first time. 5 Vipers here. It sounds silly, but keeping them spread can be important when the EMP blanket gets thrown. When you have 26 potential EMPs, or really 52, I guess. I mean,
that's pretty unbelievable. Finally, we got nukes on the way.
Just one for now, but it is going to be very important for Dark to be watching when that gets launched. Now, if you're a casual player, you're probably thinking, well, you could kill the whole army. Probably this nuke will hurt a hatchery and force drones to move only at best. Don't get too excited.
Or zone out the Zerg army further and further back onto his creep.
Maybe. Like possibly, potentially. That's like the second thing that could happen that's a little bit more exciting than him moving drones with it. But nukes are used, even though, sometimes you might see like a highlight clip of them blowing up a whole army on the internet, on YouTube or something. They're used for positional type moves where the Broodlords can force a Terran army to move because they siege an army, whereas the nuke can force a Zerg army to move or a drone line to move just because they're so powerful and hard to deny. And you have to be careful about how you defend it because when a nuke comes down, if you move too much of your army and you mess up and you don't have detection, then you could lose your whole army. Not going to happen. Big EMP attempt here is dodged.
Well, he gets 2 of the Vipers there.
It could have been worse. By the way, pathogen glands, all the infestors you've seen just now coming online. And I think for good reason.
Yeah. Generally, you want to, you need that other gas earlier on to get faster ultras, so you don't get it. You just get the infestors earlier and let them build up their energy naturally.
So if you're watching Korean StarCraft 2 late at night, and you're watching this, you should tell people about this series. But I think most of you guys are pretty hardcore fans. But what we see, ooh, nice snipes there. What we see with these, where you see the Terran killing Marines, it's actually killing Changelings, which are granting vision of the Terran army. And it's actually kind of brutal. You have to individually target them. Here comes a nuke. Let's see when this gets done. He's not looking, actually, and this could be one of those highlight clip moments.
Oh, there
but no,
you
he
go.
does see it.
Just barely. He's like desperately trying to search all his bases. Where's the little red dot? He finds it. Just barely going to damage that hatchery, as you were saying.
But, the Changelings that he keeps spamming out here forces Bjorn to kill them individually and deal with that. Okay, here's a nice fumble. He's going to catch a small amount of this army. It's not the crazy money fumble that you write home about, but small steps like this, if he takes too much damage, will work against him. It'd be nice for one of those positional army nukes that you were talking about right now while these Broodlords are here, as he doesn't have much to stop this pressure. Yeah. Snipes coming down. He needs the support of a ground army. And you know what? He needs to make sure these Overseers don't die either, because these Ghosts have free reign to snipe if he has the cloaking active.
Yeah, for sure. And this, you can see that he only made 7 Vikings. So he really is just relying mainly on the Ghosts here for most of everything, because the air army right now of Dark is gigantic. He's got 6 Broodlords, but more than that, he's got like 20 Corruptors to defend this.
So the Ghost dies before the nuke finishes. When the Ghost is channeling a nuke, if it's killed, the nuke is interrupted, and you don't get the money back. So he's going to have to...
That missile just flies into space.
Yeah.
No longer knows where it's going.
It's going to land on Earth. I'm like, oh my god. That spine crawl just doomed us all. Okay, down goes that medevac again. Just small pressure. Moves like that force an army to reposition. In the Supreme late game, in almost any matchup, but especially this one, it's just a long chess style game where, okay, one move makes the army move another place, and that allows you to attack another location, and it's all about the small damages.
Trying to get the fungal there on the Ghost, just barely missing. Huge snipes right now, taking out Broodlords and Ultras on the ground. Cut down to 3 Broodlords now only, and 2 Ultras is Dark.
I do want to point out as well the extra 15 army supply that Bjorn has from throwing his SCVs away. It's less important for him to have an SCV count because he has mules. So he doesn't need that large SCV count. So his army is bigger. You can see, in fact, it's about 30 supply bigger. You can see the top right of your screen where it's the A there is actually showing the supply in total of army, whereas the W count is the workers. So, I mean, he has a really scary army. And we said earlier, perhaps incorrectly, that Ghosts would not be enough. He has only a few Vikings, but the snipes are so good.
He has 30 per Ghost. you need to get bungles on that. You need to have constant detection as well. As you were saying, that Overseer group is very, very important, those 4 Overseers.
And I mean, look, Overseers aren't free either. So you start losing too many of them, you got to spend gas to have that detection, whereas Cloak is free. It's just built up energy. He only has 4 Queens, by the way, so not a lot of transfuse energy. Obviously, one of the reasons why is because Queens don't do a lot of damage in the fight. You don't want to clog up your supply with Queens. This is a big commitment. This small group of Marines is not going to be enough this time, and he's got Banes with this, so Beyond needs to react.
Small little drop over here, but Dark is always on top of his defense. Beyond looking somewhere else does not save it. Ghost coming in, but all the SCVs just chilling.
It's actually not the end of the world he loses those SCVs.
Yeah, it's actually okay.
But the fact that he's losing mining because the base has to be repositioned, killing CCs, or forcing the SCVs to leave is the bigger deal. He may remake some SCVs because 23 is like, we're getting a little bit low there. I mean, I know it's going to make his army supply much larger, but he does need a little more than that. A big win for Dark. I don't want to underplay it, but it's not like the end of the world. Whereas losing, 20 SCVs in the mid game is like possibly game-ending damage. So he's just going to continue to zone, actually. It's funny to watch a Terran zone out of Zerg, but this is the world we're living in right now.
If you have that many ghosts, you're just able to do this, and you could see that Beyond is specifically trying to target the infestors because he knows if that big ball of ghosts gets fungled, the game is over.
Yeah. Also,
if
they're
that
expensive.
Gets fungled, it's over.
Oh, man. It looks like Dark's actually just going to straight up commit to this. Liberation zones are good. Here comes some abducts. And can the Ghosts fight this army? They split here. And
really good splits, actually, and they do have a lot of health, but is it going to be enough? So many more Banelings rolling on through as well.
Okay, there is only 1 Overseer left. It's got 4 health. And if he kills that Overseer, okay, now it's gone.
Now he should cloak.
He should cloak, but in a moment like this, it's tough to think of everything exactly correctly. There's the cloak.
Now there's no way for Dark to kill these ghosts unless he has a fungal, which he doesn't. No infestors on the map.
He's going to chase this army, I think, too. He's going for it. He's going for the chase. He has to kind of kite with these Broodlords. This is such a fun game.
Man.
The only game I could think of that's quite like this was actually the WCG finals in, I think, 2013, where MVP faced off against Shigua, the Chinese player.
Yeah.
And it was just like mass ghosts versus Broodlords. Snipe worked differently back then. It was actually tougher for the Zerg to deal with the ghosts, but this game reminds me of that. I mean, we don't see games like this every day. That is for sure.
Especially with this many ghosts being made, too. The style that TY was playing yesterday, who's making some ghosts, like 10 to 15, but not 35, 36. And now we actually see Beyond beginning to transition a bit more into just normal bio. Maybe this is because he's struggling for, an economy at this point. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe he just wants to get a ball of bio to try to tank for these ghosts in the back as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough to say what the right move to do in a moment like this is, but what I think is becoming increasingly clear is that Beyond is losing ground very quickly. He needs one decisive fight because Dark has a huge economy, and that's what's keeping him in this, because his units are expensive and he's losing them to these ghost snipes and things like that. But if he can kill the army, the entire army, that's something that Dark can't replace. And Overseers, I think he needs to be a little bit more diligent sniping the Overseers. I think that could definitely behoove him. There's only 2 again, and they will go down so fast to the Ghosts. By the way, Ghosts are psionic units, not light. They're psionic biological, so they don't take bonus damage from Banelings. So Banelings are not as effective versus them as they are Marines.
That's why you could see, the Banelings were rolling in, and even though they were hitting the Ghosts, it was just doing normal damage, almost like it would to a Marauder. Here we go. The Banelings running in now.
I mean, he only has 15 SCVs left. His mining is going to be stunted. These Marines are out of position.
It's really just about his army. It is behind in terms of army supply compared to Dark, but he does have a ton of Ghosts. Here we go. Dark rolling in.
He's just going to go in here. There's so many Banelings, and the Ghosts can't split as well as they'd like to here. The Banelings crash into the Marines. There's still 2 Overseers in this army. He has the detection. I think this is just the last nail in the coffin here. Doesn't kill the detection. And now the fact that the Ghosts have Cloak is a moot point, and this will end the game here. GG.
Dark taking game number 1 in 32 minutes. A very, very action-packed game, even though it did go the distance. And as I said before, that's the game that Dark loves to play. He's just sipping on his coffee now, his water, whatever he's got there. He's like, oh, I mean, that's just my everyday ladder game. That's what I did yesterday. I practiced so much for this matchup, and he just looks really, really solid.
Very impressive play. Bjorn showing us his ghost style there. You know, it's funny that we didn't mention this throughout the entire game, but for a short time, because of Koreans posting on forums and the way the commentators are calling him, he went by the ID Ghost King because he was known to be the best ghost user in all of Korea. And he quickly changed his name back to Bjorn because everyone thought it was silly, and that was Marine King's thing, his teammate. But still, I mean, he is the Ghost King. Didn't work out for him there in that game. He just lost too much ground. It's so difficult to deal with a Zerg at that level. And Dark actually kind of like built this really specific comp that was like, okay, I can fight the Ghost like this with the Banelings, and I'll overwhelm this army.
It was Baneling, Ultra, Corruptor, Broodlord with like 2 Infestors and 2 Vipers. It was a very interesting comp. We're going to go into game number 2 now on Frozen Temple. See if Dark can close this out or will Bjorn bring it back. Down here in the bottom right, up a game now, looking to go undefeated in the group, the Zerg player.
SK Telecom T1, Dark.
3-0, as you mentioned.
Looks calm as ever.
Yep,
it's like he's taking a stroll through the park right now.
Fans from all around the world here to watch these two in the red.
Bjorn.
These Bjorn intros, man, they're just not giving me any time.
And getting a nice little cheer from the crowd. Definitely a fan favorite, as we were saying.
Again here, we see the pool first on Frozen Temple.
Super safe.
Very safe. And also grants pressure. Now, the last time we saw this, the wall for Cure just happened to not be tight, and he took a lot of damage. We're going to see a different game here, I assume. Bjorn probably also not going to go for a third CC. That's not his style. Here comes the drone down here to take that natural. But I'm curious to see how this map's going to play out when Dark doesn't get everything he wants. Like he did versus Cure, where he killed so many SCVs that everything that happened afterwards was an uphill battle for Cure.
Yeah, it's kind of rough, especially for the style that Dark likes to play. Like, remember the way that game started, game number 1 versus Bjorn, was him losing his 4th base and you know, taking a decent amount of damage at the 3rd and just like trying to hold on, and he did because the Ultras just barely came out. Now we're on a smaller 2-player map with the 3rd base that is a lot more vulnerable. Can Bjorn put on a similar amount of pressure and try to get to Dark before he goes all the way down to Ultras before he gets there? Or is Dark going to try to switch up his style and try to get there in a more safe way because of the map? It's kind of what I'm looking at here for the mid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of... Oh, well, we're just going to see an all-in instead, so never mind. But, I mean, this is a much faster Roach War than the previous one. Now, this is why you make a Reaper, actually. The Reaper is not to kill Lings, it's not to kill drones, it's
not
for the
to
one
poke
in
the queen in the butt, no.
It's for the 1 in a million games that they go for an all-in, and this is going to be the one. So he didn't scout it, actually. He just went up to the front. He's like, oh, late hatch. It's not enough info. He could simply die to this Roach Speedling all-in. It's done now. He has the extra Overlords already pre-made, which lets you know it's going to be an all-in, by the way. The Roaches come first because it takes them longer to come across the map. Then when you get your 2 next larva pops, you just mass Speedlings because they get across the map around the same time as the Roaches.
So you get like 7 Roaches and something like 15, 20 Lings that get over across the map.
Oh, if he catches this Reaper, it's so huge! You can't get it, though.
No, not quite.
Oh, or can he? He needs to jump up there.
He's almost baiting the Lings in, but only going to snipe 1 of those Lings.
That's pretty suspicious, you know, that he even like committed to with the Lings there for a second. Either way, Bjorn is not reading this situation correctly. He just has no information that this is coming because he didn't actually commit the Reaper into the main. Not easy to do with the pool first build. The Queen's out, tries to block you. But because he doesn't have information about this, he may just simply die. Oh, the wall denied as well.
This looks just like normal Dark style. Very aggressive, trying to make things work with a couple of Speedlings, but it is so much more, man. No bunker, not that many units here.
He has to get up that ramp. Again, no bunker, the biggest problem here. Great grenade, but I don't think it's going to save him here. If the Roaches get up this ramp, it's going to be disastrous. The Lings are not here, though. They're not here yet, so he doesn't have the support. Another great grenade. The Roaches are
lift
split.
on the supply depot, too.
Yeah.
He split them up.
Okay,
nice
one Ravager
morph on the
morphing.
Ravager, yeah, to save that Roach. Corrosive Bile is going to be easily dodged here.
That one gets killed and canceled. He breaks the wall, but so much time here was bought for Bjorn. He has Stim actually about to finish with abilities chosen here as well, so he may just simply hold. Nice
Look at
split
the
there.
amount of SCVs that he pulls through. Remakes the supply depot to block the Lings.
And I think he holds it. That's should be a shutdown here at the end of all things. And now he has Stim for the counterattack. Dark may just simply roll over and die. He's trying to re-drone back at home. If he was playing like SOS today, he would have just typed GG there. But he can still pressure with these Lings. The game is not over, but Bjorn has a huge advantage. He's even in workers with a Zerg. He has 2 CCs, he has Stim, and soon he will have Medivacs versus a Zerg that will not have enough economy to make an answer for that.
Yeah. Something that we don't really talk about a lot with this Terran build, we say, you know, you can put on a lot of pressure, you get your Stim very fast, you can get your 2 Medivacs and begin to drop, but it's great for defense against these kinds of all-ins as well, because once you just get up the ramp, you have more Marines than normal, and if you just pull some SCVs, you can take a much easier fight than, say, if you had like a Widowmine drop going across the map, and you're, you know, greedily trying to get an engineering bay or something up, but then you're kind of just screwed because your units are not in position. You don't have as many units. It's kind of crazy, but the build that Bjorn chooses actually helps him out here in the defense.
And it's a wise build to choose versus Dark as well. He's known to do things like this sometimes. So Bjorn is counterattacking across the map here, at least setting up to do that. And as a result, Dark has to crank out units to not die. So he will live, but he has 5 less workers than a Terran now because he's using all of his larva and all of his money to make units to survive. We're going to lose a rallied Overlord here.
Ooh.
The drops here are going to allow him to kind of bounce between the natural and the main. I think this might just be too much.
Oh, look at that. Dark coming from the north, though. He's going to get the full surround, and that's about as good of a defense as you could hope for.
Sure, really nice flank there. He just picks up and walks away, though. All of his Marines are about to be boosted in health with the combat shields that are finishing. Medevac count is growing. And again, just like the previous set when he went for Roaches early, more Medevacs come out, the more difficult it is to out-damage the healing with your Roaches. The Bio's DPS density is just so great. When I say DPS density, I mean the amount of damage that we've done in a small radius with that attack speed of the Marines. They just go on top of the Roaches and burst them down. There's even a Widowmine with this now, too, which if it gets a money hit on the Lings, the game ends.
Scan here, too, to deny some creep.
Nice Biles. Yeah, that was really sick. But, I mean, no matter how well he micros here, he's going to have a bad time. Great positioning on this ramp. He should just pick up.
Ooh, he's actually
it doesn't matter either way.
Just going to micro out of that. Combat shields finish after.
Counterattack here is easily defended with the bunker. He was prepared. GG.
Bjorn, he's not out of it yet. Takes a quick win there after a failed all-in by Dark.
No matter what happens to Bjorn in this tournament, I think that everyone will remember his run here in the summer season of 2016 in both tournaments. This guy, again, he went on a hiatus, never played in Pro League, didn't join a Caspa team. He left Prime when Prime went to Pro League. He did not want to play in Pro League, did not want to be on a team. He wanted to do this solo. And here we are. He's having his best performance since like 2012. And he's about to potentially win on a winner's match versus Dark, who is the defending SSL champion, who's #1 in WCS points after 2-0ing the defending BlizzCon champion. This is insane. The stories that we are seeing in this GSL, like you said on Wednesday, it feels like they come out of a fairy tale. This is like Friday Night Lights at the GSL, you know.
Basically, man, we're sitting here on a Friday night underneath all the lights, as are the players and the fans. And this is getting close. It's getting down to the wire. It's going to be the first 2-1 best of 3 that we're going to have tonight. And this is a big deal. No one wants to stay here longer in the studio, wait for another match to go, watch that match.
Show more games to opponents that are going to face you later in the group and later in the tournament.
You want to get out right now. You don't want to play any more games here.
You get the better seed in the round of 8 as well. I mean,
play against Ryung instead of Hero.
I mean,
That's
there's
another huge
a
deal.
multitude of reasons. This is so important. We're going to Frost again.
Yeah, going to be Frost. Dark looked good on this map when he played it against Cure. It really just fits Dark's style as well. The spawning position is going to be very important here too, because Bjorn, a bit more of an aggressive player compared to Kieran. We'll see what he can do here on Frost right now. Up here in the top right in the blue, the Zerg player, he is
SK Telecom T1, Dark.
Let's see if we get those horizontal spawns again at the top. Not gonna happen. Down here, the bottom right in red.
Bjorn.
The vertical spawns, though, still do allow for Bjorn to do that 2-drop play as quickly, almost as quickly, you know, basically the same as horizontal.
Wouldn't be surprised if he does the same build. He did it on Dust Towers and Frozen Temple.
Hatch first, changing it up.
Yep,
Being
this is a
greedy on this four-player
Hatch
map.
first map for Dark. He's kind of just, I think he's just made a decision in his mind. He's like, I go pool first against everybody on this specific map, and I go Hatch first versus everybody on this specific map as well. It's very map-based, the builds that he does do, in terms of his very early starting builds, of course.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great start for Bjorn in this group, though. I can't even stress enough. He holds the last game without having the scout of the roaches at all. He does it with his control. Dark gets greedy, trying to control the ramp. Fights without his lings versus a 2-rack build where there's twice as many Marines as there normally are against other players who wouldn't do so. You know, like you said, trying to get the eBay out. He's got like a factory. He's trying to get a Widow Mine out. He just drops across the map. Bjorn had the build, and he held it. And we go into this third game where Dark was thinking, I cheese him, I kill him, I move on with my life. I'm in 2 round of 8, so now, you know, he's going into the round of 4.
Round of 4 in round of 8, yeah.
So it could be the first time, you know, we have a, if Dark continues at this level, man, we might have for the first time a GSL and SSL champion be the same at the same time, and we have to change the rules to the cross finals if that happens. So, by the way, I do want to mention, while we have a lot of people watching,
sure,
the grand postseason of Pro League is starting on Sunday. We have SKT versus the Freaks there, and SKT having their worst round of all time in round 3, so we'll see if they can beat the Freaks. Should be a really exciting match. Do tell your friends about that. It's going to be a 3-day event, so that's how we do it at Pro League. We don't just do one day.
Best of 3 match series over the course of 3 days.
Best of 3, best of 7s. So it's like, whoa, a lot of StarCraft, a lot of amazing high-level play.
A lot of players that you wouldn't see as well. I mean, go check out, you know, go to Wolf's Twitter at ProxyWolf. He put up the lineup there. I retweeted that as well about the first day. You know, on Sunday, it's going to be players like Zone and Symbol coming out once again. Players you don't get to too often see in Pro League.
Yeah, you don't see them in best of 5s, but in best of 7s they come out. And yeah, I just wanted to tell everyone that is happening and starting on Sunday. We had a Pro League hiatus. We had the finals over there at ESL. Ooh.
He wanted that creep tumor.
Nice snipe there. He got a bit greedy on the tumor. So let's look at this game here. Again, it's the fast stim from Bjorn. No surprise. This is why Dark goes for Overlord speed every time, you know, unless he's doing an all-in. So he gets the scout on what build is coming his way, so he can raise his spawn accordingly. This is another time on these spawns where the Zerg player, if he wants to take the normal 4th, has to take it closer to the Terran, where he's going to have a defensive position. So this is a favorable Terran position in this matchup. But, you know, Dark can take another 4th. The problem with the 4th, the problem with that is that it's further away. And we saw what Cure did in this previous set on Frost, where Dark barely was able to win that series, or barely able to win that game. A big comeback is that it's just easily dropped. You can send a double drop over and kill that base.
You see what Bjorn does there, actually, with the denial on the scout. Not only does he have them in perfect position, but he only shows 3 Marines. And he's like, okay, this is all I've got, you know. He's not going to keep all of his Marines together. He needs to split them up anyway in case some kind of Ling run-by comes. So he only shows 3. If Dark saw more, like he did in game number 1, maybe he would have a much better idea of what build is coming down.
Now, what build is coming down here for Dark is he's doing Rogue's build. He's going to do the 2 Overlord drop build where you basically... This is not... Don't look at this, guys. It's not like a Banling drop. It's not like an all-in. It's not a cheese. This is actually what buys him time and forces Bjorn to be at home so he can spread his creep, get his upgrades. This is just simply pressure that forces Bjorn to return home so he can be more flexible back while he's building up his queen count. In this case, because Bjorn just happened to move out, this could do critical damage, even though it's not designed to, as Bjorn is now kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. These queens can defend his double drop that's coming across.
Unbelievable timing here. He is going to try to fight with the Marines and the SCVs. Dark really struggling to find an angle. He's just going to come over here and kill this not yet made supply depot. And Bjorn, he couldn't really find the time to also attack.
This is why this build is so powerful. It keeps the Zerg, back at home healthy.